Hello and welcome to MotorInc First. It's action time, and a great name has come back.
Yes,
Hero Karizma.
Karizma is back. Yeah.
Let's get to it.
Yeah. So Hritik's cap is safe.
Why his cap?
Well, that was the whole ad campaign the last
Oh,
time.
it flew off.
It flew into the tornado and then he found a Karizma and he went and rescued his cap, remember?
Oh, that's okay. Got it.
And the cap had a major role in the press conference also.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it came to the press conference and Hritik wore it. And that was most of the press conference. They didn't really discuss the bike in the press conference outside of that, which was kind of weird.
Okay.
So, see, the thing with the Karizma, yeah, I know. The Karizma thing is that it is Hero's biggest brand name. The Eric Buell range of Karizmas nearly killed it. But somehow it has its own audience and cachet and whatever. So the press conference was oriented to that a lot more than the fact that it is Hero's first liquid-cooled engine. It has a 4-valve DOHC setup, 6-speed gearbox, new trellis frame.
I have a contention with what you said.
Sure.
Right? You said Karizma is a big brand. The people who care about Karizmas,
Are also very big people now. Yeah, it's true.
we are the guys who looked up to Karizma when it came, right? We are in our 40s, and as much as we are excited about the Karizma name coming back, I don't think you and I are going to be buying a Karizma.
No chance. No.
So who is this really for?
So that's the interesting thing about the brand, right? If you think of the parents as the enablers for the child's decision, there will be a lot of parents who had Karizmas in their
Right.
history, geography. I'm history and geography in the sense of historically they owned one, or geographically some of their friends had one and they rode one and were very impressed with it, or whatever, right? Which is why I think Hero can get away by making a high revving sports bike kind of format for the Karizma, which if you think about it, the old Karizma was not. You know, if you put the actual frame of reference, it was a torquey, easy to ride, comfortable street bike.
Okay, you've already started talking about the questions I want to know, because that's how I remember the Karizma.
Yeah.
Like this beautiful, smooth, easy motorcycle.
Yeah.
Looked sporty, but was so versatile.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But this.
No.
Oh, okay.
So it's smooth. Okay. It's a slightly buzzy motor. And I'm not going to say that that's a bad thing, because I think if they'd removed the buzz completely, then it also feels slightly anesthetic. So I think the amount of buzz it has is right. I rode 65 kilometers, most of it at very high revs, and didn't buzz my hands, didn't feel like the tingling was going to come or whatever. So there's just enough buzz to let you know stuff is happening, but not enough to annoy you. So that sense, is it refined, super refined? No. Refined enough? Oh, yes.
Okay.
But in character, they've built a sports bike engine. Think about it. They're taking a 210cc engine and they're extracting 25.5 bhp from it. Your torque is 20.4 Newton meters, but it comes at 7,250 RPM. So this is a motorcycle that you rev out for everything, which is why 4-valve, DOHC, liquid cooled. So it has that sense of being a sportier machine. But now when you add the fairing to it, then it is a sports bike for all intents and purposes.
Okay. For me, the Karizma was like the first big bike.
Yes.
It looked big.
Yes.
Right? It had that mass because of that quarter fairing, the windscreen, and all of that. I've only seen this in pictures. It didn't seem big in that sense. Does it have that presence?
It can't.
Okay.
When the Karizma came out, by our then frames of reference, it was the largest motorcycle physically. You can't do that today. There's a Diavel, a Multistrada at one end of the spectrum. The Vulcan Ninja 650 in the middle. The Continental GT at the bottom. Wherever you look for a fair motorcycle as a reference point or whatever, you're going to find extremely large motorcycles today. And even if you assume that not all of India has access to physically these motorcycles, they are seeing them online. So I don't think you can do a physically large Karizma today unless it was a 500 or something.
Right.
So to me, if I were the product planner, I would probably have said we are going to do 2 Karizmas back to back. The 500 will come. It will be ridiculously expensive, but it will be so good that everybody will have to think about it. Nobody will buy it, and that's fine. Because it's a Hero 500. Who's going to buy a Hero 500? That's fine. But it'll set the tone for what Hero engineering is now capable of. The few people who buy it will be like, oh my God, I can't believe how good this bike is.
And what the Karizma is about.
What the Karizma is about. And then that will make the 210 case easier, saying that's the kind of motorcycle the 210 aspires to be. Okay, but when the 210 comes out on its own, it's the same problem as the 220 had when the 250 came out. Because the 220 is not the fastest Indian and all of these things. It was the technological leader. It looked different. It was a physically larger motorcycle, blah, blah, blah. It had those attributes. Think about it. If you have to create those attributes today, you're going to need a 500, 650cc motorcycle. It cannot be done with 200s and 250s. If you think about it, a lot of the youngsters who are going to go get test rides tomorrow, etc., they don't have a reference point more or less for what the Karizma used to be, because there are very few of them around. If you look at the ZMR, etc., that's not a reference point, because they were at that point just ugly bloated whales, right? Original Karizma was the one.
Yeah.
If you look at the original Karizma, who has a reference point?
Yeah.
So what Hero has done is actually, if you remove the Karizma badge for a minute from this conversation, is they've made a very nice sports bike. So the tank is super narrow, like shockingly narrow. It's not in your way in terms of you feeling like this, but it is narrow in the sense of your sense of control is quite good over it.
Okay.
It's a clever thing, but the fairing is not that narrow. But when you get on the motorcycle, when you look at the motorcycle, you have a sense of a long, narrow motorcycle, and it feels like that to ride. So at least it's cohesive.
Okay.
But what that means is when you go into corners, it snaps to lean angles, which I imagine that at a racetrack up a mountain road will be good fun in experienced hands. New riders will take a moment to adapt to the fact that it doesn't have that sense of progression. It's just down to the lean angles. It's very nice that way. MRF tires on it, grippy. Brakes could have had more bite, so they've left the bite a little bit gentle, so a new rider will be able to get along with it. But then it doesn't match the character of the motorcycle exactly, because when you go for the brakes, it's not as sharp as the handling was.
But in terms of the idea, like, okay, let's put the Karizma aside. Like, let's call this a new sporty motorcycle, whatever, from Hero. I mean, I think everybody was a little taken aback that this was a completely new engine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Fair to say that? Because I hadn't thought that they're coming out with a
It's more or less a new engine, yeah.
It's a new engine. They built a new frame. There's a trellis.
Yeah, new trellis frame, yeah.
So they've really gone all out with this product.
So that's the thing, right? Karizma is a big brand.
Yeah.
Their most important brand. So they can't do half.
I keep missing out on this. Where have they written Karizma on the bike? I can't
on the tank.
I can't see it. I can only see the XMR.
No, it's on the top of the tank in a chrome sticker.
So this is the hallowed name, and it's only on top of the bike?
Yeah.
Only there?
Yeah. XMR on the side of the fairing, one Hero sticker in the front, a Hero logo on the nose, and a DOHC sticker on a panel that they're using to cover something that must be ugly behind it. It works.
So it's like I buy a Ferrari and I take my logos and put them in the cockpit.
And it says 210 at the back on the rear panel. So the Karizma is two chrome stickers on either side of the fuel tank cap.
I'm sorry. I was looking to see that name somewhere and I couldn't spot it.
Yeah, so see, I think if you look at the history of the Karizma, it very quickly shortened to ZMA. Remember, everybody used to call it the ZMA. I mean, I don't know that ZMA would be a viral term in today's day and age. I don't think it has enough syllables in it, ZMA. But then it became the ZMR and all of those things. And now it's the XMR because Heroes enjoys the X character in all of their things, right? Yeah, I think they're going to have a fight with TVS X because they're also beginning to enjoy the X character.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So, what makes it feel like the flagship? Is there anything in particular that you'd think about it and say that this is the flagship now? It is the most expensive motorcycle that they sell today? Right?
I'm going to say that discussion is not really important because the Hero 440 platform will actually deliver the flagship. Right. See, remember, we are not aware of Hero working on a motorcycle beyond the 440 class yet. Public myth, we don't know this. So, and we know that the Harley X440's Hero cousin will also come. Let's assume that that's 6 months from now. We've been told the introductory price is 1.73 lakhs X, but they have not told us when this price goes away and what this price goes to. Okay, now there is a nuance here, okay? At the press conference, the screen said 1,93,000 rupees. Then they said, oh, too high, ticker, 1,83,000, and everybody like, yay. Mostly Hero guys clapping, not the journalists. We have other things to do at that point of time. Then they did some skit about the head of marketing and the head of sales, I think, saying, can we do a better price than this? So then they did more drama. Then it fell to 173. So today the price is 173 introductory price. Now the thing is, does that mean it reverts to 183 or 193 is not assumable. It's what's on the screen. But as far as I can tell, that's not actually the price of the Karizma. We don't know what the actual price of the Karizma after the introductory period is over is. And we don't know when the introductory period gets over either.
Let's take the worst case scenario and say it's 193. But 193, it's still undercutting the RC200?
Yeah, by lots, 35,000 rupees less.
It's a big difference, right? Yeah. And from the 250 Duke, it would be even...
Yeah, so I'm saying I wouldn't even make that comparison because I think the RC200 is now a very versatile but a very high-end, very capable, sharp sports bike. And this is a much gentler product.
Dude, you set me back by saying that. Wow. Really?
Yeah, this is a much gentler product. So the KTM has that specificity of their nature, which says that kind of rider will like a KTM, every other kind of rider will probably not ride a KTM, and they just softened it a little bit now, so it's a little bit more versatile. This is the exact opposite, where it says a lot of kinds of riders will be able to ride the Karizma, including people who are looking for a sports bike.
Has it become an R15 rival?
In some ways, yes. The R15's ability to forgive a mistake, we are very well aware of. I don't know where this motorcycle will go and sit on that, because to me, that is the key about an entry sports bike, right? It has to be able to give you that sense of leeway, saying, it's okay, you make a mistake, I'll recover for you.
That R15 is gold standard.
It's a gold standard. I don't know where this Karizma will go and sit, but in nature, it is similar more towards that forgiveness end of the angle than the RC200's Focus, which now happens to have sophisticated suspension, so you don't notice all the rest of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting bike. Look, I'm not able to say that I had a
Happiness? Any?
That's what. I'm not able to say that I had a great ride. I'm able to say that I had a promising ride. Okay. The torque curve is super linear and the refinement is quite good, right? So you don't even notice how fast you're going initially.
Oh.
Right? So you'll be like, it doesn't seem to be going. And then you look down, you're already doing 65, 70.
Okay.
Right? So it has that linear build up, which again, I pointed this out last time when we spoke about the Speed 400 also. Linear buildups are very good for people who are trying to learn to ride a bike, but to keep you engaged as a rider, it needs to challenge you a little bit, right? The Karizma is challenge free. The harder you rev, the more performance it gives, right? So we were doing public road and we shouldn't have been, but the hero test rider told us that they'd recceed the situation was safe, and there was one stretch where there was nobody there, literally in the middle of the jungle.
Okay.
And we got to about 130, I think, on that stretch.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's quick. Okay, overtaking things, rev it up, one gear down, go past things, it's easy. But does that leave you with a sense of a powerful, viscerally interesting machine? No. Capable, competent, reasonably quick.
The Karizma became like a sort of de facto tourer at that point in time.
Yeah.
Which this is not.
No, so here the thing is that the ergos are not too committed.
Okay.
But it's a relatively small and narrow motorcycle. So you have pro and con. So would you not be able to find a touring friendly riding position? I think you will. But is that what it's going to go for? Not naturally, no. You'll have to make it. If I remember correctly, the red line goes to 10,000 or 10,500. Peak power is 9,250.
Okay.
Right? So it revs out and it revs happily. I mean, I didn't get the sense of, oh, I'm working it out. It's okay. It says I was designed to rev, you rev, we are good. It's okay. Gearbox is pretty slick. It has a slip and assist clutch, so the clutch effort is also reasonably quick. So they've covered all the bases. And that's why I'm saying it seems more and more like an R15 than an RC200 to me.
So we're getting to that terrible 4-letter word, I think.
Which one? Which one of them?
Nice.
No, it's more than nice for sure.
It's more than nice.
It's more than nice for sure. So see, we got production 1 motorcycles. So they had some glitches here and there, right? For example, on Abhay Verma's bike from Turbocharged, his hero logo, it was almost smashed into the fairing. So the H, you know, remember the H has a vertical bar and 2 dots, right? The dots, they penetrated the plastic, as it were. My bike was perfectly okay. But Veer Nakai's yellow bike, we noticed, and then we noticed all the other bikes, the yellow of the sticker doesn't match the yellow of the paint.
Okay.
So there were issues. But when you looked at the Karizma, did you feel like they missed a spot? No, you didn't. It looked well made.
Okay.
There are a few gimmicks in there which I think Hero could have done by just avoiding them, right? There is a switch for the visor.
One sec. What?
There's a switch for the visor because you can raise the height and lower the height. Okay, so Hero will tell you it's the segment first adjustable visor. I'm going to say just disregard the whole thing because the thing moves, I think, some 13 mm or 14 mm or something. I think it's ridiculous, right? I have 2 photographs. I will try and put them back to back and you tell me which of the visors is in the high position and which is in the low position, and I bet you'll get it wrong, right? So what the mechanism that they've designed is on the right side, below the throttle on the fairing panel is a visor switch. Okay, when you press the visor switch, it unlocks something in the visor mechanism and then you can manually pull it up or push it down.
Okay.
But when you pull it up, it only goes this much. So the net result of it is, right? If the visor had moved a lot of the way up or a lot of the way down, I think it would have more utility. So a good example is the Ducati Super Sport. Remember the Ducati Sport had that weird hinge, and that hinge would move the fairing quite a bit higher and then inward and lower. Okay. And it made quite a difference to your aerodynamic setup. I don't think this 13mm, 14mm thing is going to make much of a difference.
Okay.
There was no need for it. It's just a marketing thing. I don't even know why they bothered to do it. Right? So finish levels are good. Build quality felt fine. It didn't. I jumped off a couple of speed breakers, landed. Nothing seemed like it would rattle very easily.
I know you've already said it was smooth, but the engine. But the one character that even Honda engines picked up over a course of time was that they felt smooth enough, but they sounded thrashy. Now this is a liquid cooled engine, so I'm guessing it doesn't have. And the same thing happened even with the Heroes.
Yeah.
Which is why.
No, it's liquid cooled, so it's not going to be unrefined
It's
noise wise.
reasonably quiet.
It's reasonably quiet, and it gets louder with the revs. But does it get to the point where
None
you're
of
like,
that boominess.
yeah, you're like, hey, what is this noise? No, it's okay.
Oh, nice.
It's not amazing. It's not bad.
Okay,
It's okay.
That's
fine.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, the predominant noise that I remember of the Karizma when you ride it is the chain. The chain used to have that that time they had that. They were the first ones to bring that, expensive chain. That chain used to cost a bomb back then. That was the one distinct sound of the Karizma that you'd always hear. But anyways, okay. So did you get to do any corners or anything like that?
Yeah, so that road is the Gurgaon Faridabad road, which has a few corners here and there. So yeah, you got to play with it a little bit. And I have a sense of a very stable chassis, but not a chassis that likes to go straight, as it were. So you can flick it and it will change direction really quickly. So a lot of people, I think, are going to be surprised by how quickly it changes direction, and then they'll get used to it and then they won't notice it so much again. But my first reaction was, maybe if the tires weren't such an aggressive profile, if there was a slightly wider profile, so you'd have a sense of support as it goes to lean angles, then I can just put more effort into the steering and achieve the same snap to the lean angle, right?
Okay.
But this bike is just doing that. And I'm telling you, Hero chassis and suspension, guys, they are very good.
I was just going to come to that, because if you take the Extreme 160 as a benchmark, right? And which was, I mean, that chassis is...
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So think about what all they've done, right? The Expulses, one end of the spectrum.
Correct.
Then the Extremes, and now the Karizma, the Harley, which is all coming from the same team, right? And all the chassis are very good.
Chassis and suspension.
Yeah. So even on the Karizma, the suspension, can I call it an uncomfortable sports bike? No, I can't. When did it get uncomfortable? There was a traffic jam at a traffic light, as Gurgaon is. And we had to go into the soft shoulder, which as Gurgaon is was like this. And there you did bounce around till you got to the front of the queue. But when the roads had undulations, potholes, managed. Can I call it plush? No, but it's a sports bike. For a sports bike, did it do a great job? Yes, I think it did.
Okay.
And there is the Ultra, and in that you will notice that there are no upside down forks. So the Extreme 4 valve has upside down forks, but the Karizma 210 does not have upside down forks.
I actually was thinking of asking, I said, what's the chance? Extreme has it.
Yeah, but it doesn't. The Karizma doesn't have it.
I was so busy looking for where Karizma was written, I missed that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't have a USD fork.
And what?
Yeah, so I didn't get a clear explanation of why, but obviously cost must have been a factor. And because we trust this chassis team because they do such good work, I'm assuming that whatever potential flaws of not putting a USD fork, at least in engineering terms, they've taken care of it. In perceptible value terms in a showroom, yes, you're going to notice that one Extreme 4V has a USD fork.
Seriously?
KYB and all. And then the Karizma has a regular set of right side up forks.
I mean, straightforward. Like we've discussed this before. It's not like the hardware by itself or what it is badged makes the difference. It's what it does. So upside down forks or telescopic, we are fine with that. If I walk into a Hero showroom and I see the Extreme sitting with those beautiful upside down forks, and I see I'm spending more for the Karizma and hey, that has regular telescope, I feel a little bit cheated.
Yeah, so I'm going to say, look, functionally there is no problem. I think these forks work fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the value proposition,
perceived value is going to
is going to drop for sure. Yeah.
It's like the same thing, like why people prefer the 220F over the 200 NS or the 250s now, right? It's because they would say, "Arey, 2 headlamps, projector headlamp."
Correct.
Right? Yeah. Like they used to go mad over those kind of things where they could see the value, like, oh, this has more.
Yeah, exactly.
It has more displacement.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think they got this question from a lot of people, not just us. So I think spec-wise, they've covered a lot of the bases, right? It's got turn-by-turn navigation, built-in Bluetooth, etc., etc. That screen could have been brighter. I think in Gurgaon's daylight yesterday, I was struggling to see it a little bit. But they've taken the Harley system and put it back here where it has automatic light controls. So it senses and changes the screen and switches on the headlight both. On the Harley, it takes, I'm going to say, about a second and a half for the system to actually wake up and turn the headlight on. I hope that this system works faster, but I don't think it will because I think it's the same system. But to give you an example, when you enter a tunnel and you're going reasonably quickly, let's say 70 or 80, At 70, 80, you will do 15, 20% of the tunnel before the headlight wakes up. There's a delay there, which I think if Hero were to shorten, that system is a good idea. It would become more useful.
Okay. Admission, I was expecting to be more upset about it not really being a Karizma. But strangely enough,
I think we are too far removed from the Karizma. In fact, in some ways, if you think about it, Hero pulled out Hrithik Roshan for the event. Obviously, because he did the ad and the famous caps and whatever. And Ranvijay, because I think, I didn't know this, but Ranvijay apparently was the first winner of the roadies where the prize was a Karizma and he got a yellow Karizma, etc., etc. I don't think anybody in the audience remembered the roadies episode at all. And they assumed that Hrithik was a brand ambassador, which it turns out he is going to be. But it was more an assumption saying, oh, Hrithik is here, Karizma is here, he must be the brand ambassador.
Actually didn't connect why Ranvijay was there.
Yeah. Right. So to me, the audience that has known the Karizma brand will still make some of these connections. But a larger part of the audience will just not make any of these connections at all.
Okay, when's the Naked coming?
I don't know. We know that Hero has a premium motorcycle every quarter coming. Like there was a friend of mine who works at Hero who said, we are going to annoy you by calling you for events one after the other, after the other, after the other. We know that there is at least one more scooter still in the pipeline. I think there'll be a maxi scooter style thing, my guess. We know that the Hero version of the X440 is still out there. That's not a guess. I think that is more or less in public domain that there is another Hero version of this bike. Then there will be the ADV, which I know is delayed, but that is still in the works. So if these are the three we know, then there'll be other stuff. I'm sure.
But the same thing in Naked form, there's no...
There should be. Why would you spend so much money and then not do a Naked out of it? That will be the Karizma, no MR.
No.
No, I mean, there's no fairing, right?
It'll be just Kariz.
Or because it'll be cheaper, it'll be the MRP. Okay, I'm sorry. Terrible jokes have started, so we should probably wrap this up.
Anything you want to add? Because I think I've covered everything.
So I had asked Hero a couple of questions about things that went unsaid. 1.73 lakhs X is the current introductory price. When that price changes and what it changes to, Hero has officially said we are not commenting on the pricing. So I know if you're seeing the press conference footage and screen captures, you're seeing 193, 183, 173. Ignore the first two, they have no relevance and no connection to reality at all. Okay, one. Delivery start in September. And unlike the Harley X440 and the premium that we are talking about, the Karizma is currently open for bookings and you'll get your deliveries at any Hero dealer and you'll be able to service it at any Hero dealer. Okay, the warranty is 5 years. Service is 6,000 kilometers. Oil changes 12,000 kilometers. I'm still going to say 2 services a year is what Hero is setting you up for. And Hero has officially said that their service costs are some of the lowest in the industry. But we know that Hero service costs are not really the issue. The traffic and the volume of bikes that they process is the issue. So if you buy a Karizma and you go to every Hero workshop as opposed to the premium workshop, you'll just get swamped in a row of commuters, and that's a known challenge. And I don't know that this is an easy challenge even for Hero to solve. It is what it is. So if you do have a premium dealer in your town, maybe that's how you avoid the traffic, as it were. Right? Fuel economy should be about 35 kilometers per liter on the WMTC cycle. It's not an exact figure, it's an approximation, but that's where it's going to go. So realistically, I'm going to say the top speed is going to be usable, realistic, indicated. Top speed is going to be in the 130-32 range. You subtract, let's say, 10% of that for speedo error. You're looking at a usable 120-22, something like that, which is okay, I think.
All right. Okay. So what next?
If you have any questions, leave us a comment. We are waiting for the test bikes to come. Once the test bike comes, then we'll figure out where it goes and fits in, how is it in traffic, and all of those kind of issues. Like yesterday was literally a short ride on a really hot day. So is there heat from the engine onto my legs? I don't know. There was heat everywhere anyway. So how is it with the pillion? I was not taking a pillion on yesterday, right? So
who would you guys want to see it compared with? And
yeah, that's a great question actually.
Yeah, and are you, I mean, any of you who remember the original Karizma, and those of you who don't know what the Karizma is really about, let us know in the comments. It sets context for us. I think that'll be amazing.
Yeah. Anything else that we need to know from them?
All right. I think we're done.
Yeah.
This was MotorInc First. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.